All right, so whenever you guys are ready, Mayor, if you want to go ahead and start us off.
Well, can we even officially convene the meeting without a quorum?
No,
So,
but we can go ahead and go through the agenda.
yes. Yes, let's proceed with the agenda.
All right.
Okay, so our first item of business, since we can't approve meeting minutes, would be to talk about the rural long-range transportation plan.
Mhm.
So Aria, do you want to go ahead and start us off by talking about what we're seeing with the demographic data?
Yep, so we've gathered up all the data we mentioned before, so population, employment, transportation, all of that, got it into the tracts, done projections based on the data that you gave us for development,
Mhm.
and just a generic growth rate for future growth aside from that. And that's broken down by tract here in the county. I haven't been able to get more data from the census, unfortunately. But what we have is what we have, so. Yeah, that's what we've got for data.
Okay, so then kind of the other thing that we talked about at the last meeting was that survey about the overall goals and objectives for the plan. So I've been kind of monitoring the responses that we've gotten from that. At the last meeting we had, I think it was around 66 or so total responses that had come in. We are up to 71 by now, which unfortunately in 3 months is not a
No,
very rapid response rate. So I think at this point, this is probably the best course of action to go ahead and close that out. I don't think we're gonna get too many more people. However, the good news is the responses that we got a pretty good split between the respondents that said that they were in the urban area and in the rural area. It was, I believe, around 56% in the urban area. So that's a very good split to kind of get potentially different interests represented. So that was good to see. So I think what we'll go ahead and do in regards to that is I will kind of look at that and do a little bit of analysis of those results and put that together. And then I think we're going to want to have a meeting with some of you guys as well as some of the members from our tech committee to kind of discuss some things for the long range plan. So things we're going to want to discuss, just that I know of, would be certainly looking at the projections that we've done and to kind of double checking those to make sure that we have gotten the growth areas and that the growth rates that we use, sometimes we use variable growth rates for some of those, that you guys think those are still accurate and make sense based on your local knowledge. So we're going to want to check on those. We can talk about the exact results of the survey in a little more detail. Kind of see maybe how we want to roll some of those goals and objectives into the process that we're doing for this. And then we're definitely also going to want to talk about the downtown truck traffic issue.
please, yes.
I talked to Aaron Lyons a little bit before the last meeting about that specifically, and he mentioned that of course is still ongoing. So that's one that we know is going to be something that we're going to kind of want to get at least on paper, something that we want. So it won't necessarily solve the problem tomorrow, but if we can get it in a plan, then that kind of gives us something to use as a target and to point to and say, hey, this is an issue, it's been documented, it's been vetted by different people here locally. Let's see if we can start to get some of the details in terms of projects, funding, logistics, all that stuff, at least get it moving.
Right.
So that's kind of some of the goals for that. We would kind of look to have this probably around July, I think. So because the state fiscal year ends in June, we kind of tend to have some things come up that need to get done, and sometimes some things come up that are last minute. Around then, there's always something that pops up that's like, oh, we need to do this thing too, before the end of the fiscal year. So I think we'll have cleared all that in July. So we should be able to get ready to meet by then, I think. So I will reach out to you guys and we'll see if we can get something together and when I send out like, an email or whatever, if there are some people on there that I don't include that you think should be included based on what we're gonna talk about, then happy to add them.
Okay.
So that's kind of the general plan for this.
If you wouldn't mind sharing the results on can you determine which are from Delphi or not?
So all we asked was an urban area or a rural area.
If you could share the urban area. We're also doing a city comprehensive land use plan, so there'll be a transportation component in that. So it'd be useful to have that data if possible.
Yeah.
And then we can confirm that as we do surveys for that. Be interesting to see, if they are similar, but I know Delphi truck route will be a major component.
I can definitely send out what we have for the survey.
Thank you.
And I'll go ahead and that'll be sent out, before the meeting so you guys can have a chance to look at it. I haven't done it yet because I've been leaving the survey open in hopes of getting, a few more responses, but I think since we're kind of pretty well in agreement that we're not gonna get too many more, I'll go ahead and shut it down, and so then that way I can start plugging away at the analysis.
Okay, good.
Do you guys have any other questions about the plan? Or issues that you wanted to bring up that you think we might want to talk about here?
Related to the plan or just, no.
Anywhere else in the county, I mean, if you can. Anything on Flora's side or?
Not that I know of.
Other than every single detour
Leads to Flora.
leads to Flora somehow.
Yeah.
I think there's some that just lead to nowhere. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one from 26 is interesting. It takes you all the way down.
That's massive.
It is. Comes to Flora and then over to 29.
And then over to 29 and right back down for
Mm-hmm.
another zillion miles.
And you got 38 closed and you got 900 closed and you know, my grandson plays baseball at Dayton and we can't get to there. We take the Hoosier Heartland to get to the Dayton. Because you can't get to there from here, from Florida. So yeah, it's.
Yeah, the river makes it tricky. I mean, the topography just.
Oh, well, it's construction season.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess if there are no other questions about that, we'll move on to our next item, to talk about traffic counts. So,
Okay, so again, quick overview for the traffic count program. We set those every year on a 3-year cycle, where we do the same stations every 3 years. Last year, we focused on CAPOs. All of that is done for now, unless you want to review CAPOs again in a future year. We're done looking at that count data. So this year, we have just regular stations on our 3-year cycle. We did get some input for different variances from that usual schedule we have. So like around Army Road, the school, we set some counts out there. And there were a couple other locations we moved as well based on your feedback. So I think we're 4 or 5 weeks into that count process now. So another couple of weeks here, we should have all the counts done. They're going smoothly, and we'll have data for you at our next quarterly meeting, so.
Good.
Yeah. And if you ever have suggestions for count locations for next year, I can take those anytime and schedule them for next year, so. Yeah, I think that's it for counts. Any questions?
We appreciate your flexibility on, I think 950, you guys put one up there, and with all the RV stuff going on down there now, it's been, I think I got a call from the owner down there, appreciated the ability to figure out how much traffic he's putting down that road now that their campsites are up and running.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the point of the traffic counts is to get data for you know, your projects and your planning, so changing up as needed is definitely what we're here to do, so. We're happy to do so. All right, that's all I have.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and move on to the next item, the 18-month letting list. So we're kind of in the time of year when NDOT has mostly locked down their lettings. So, you know, we never tend to see too many lettings this time of year. So if we start at the top of the list, we don't have any lettings, we being NDOT, not ABC. Yeah. So NDOT doesn't have any lettings until August of this year. And then we get this bundle of bridge deck overlay projects on State Road 25. So these first several are all under the same contract number. So we'll be anticipating a bid on that a couple meetings. So then if we continue to kind of scroll down after that, then the next bid letting date we have is in December. We have a couple of State Road 75 projects, again, bridge projects. And then after that, we get to January 23, where we have a couple of projects, one on State Road 18 and one on State Road 218. So those are scheduled for January. And then we start getting into a few changes in lettings that we had. So we had some projects kind of fall back in their timeline. So these first three projects were moved from a September of 2022 letting to a February of 23 letting. So again, kind of bridge and small structure projects, as most of the projects on this list are. Not 100% sure as to why they were moved back. This is just information we get from NDOT, so they might be able to explain that if there are questions. And then we did also have a change to a couple more projects. So there's a US 421 project, also slid back in letting, going back from an anticipated December of 22 letting to a March of 23 letting. And then we did get a couple of new projects that just showed up at kind of the end of the 18-month time frame. So we have that first one there in July of 23 on State Road 29, and then one in August of 23 on State Road 22. So if we go down to the bid letting results, so this, in my opinion, is a little bit of good news. So there are a couple contracts that we were, the NDOT was able to let. So we had this first project, this bridge replacement, bridge deck overlay, that was awardable. It was under the engineer's estimate by a little bit. So that was awarded in February, and it's anticipated to be completed in October of this year. And then we had a project that was awarded in March, so bridge thin deck overlay bundle, that was also under the engineer's estimate and is anticipated to be completed in September. So one thing we've kind of seen statewide is that a lot of areas are having problems getting projects let. They're having projects that are coming in way over engineer's estimates. So we were glad to see that at least for this fiscal year, these last couple lettings, that we were able to get these projects let. So that's a little bit of good news, and hopefully that continues into the fall with this kind of bundle of projects that we have coming up in August. So are there any questions about any of these? I probably realistically won't be able to answer them, but I'm happy to get in touch with NDOT if that's needed.
We've certainly been having lengthy discussions on a bridge over Deer Creek on State Road 25, so hoping for some modifications on that. Trail systems that are impacted by that, by some of the changes that they've made in the initial design. So we're hoping to make some modifications before we have to go to final design and get the bid packets ready. So, but I was surprised to see 2023. So we'll see. Obviously, it'd be good to not make this a truck route until after that's done. So,
Yeah.
so that part is good.
Well, I think that I mean, the kind of the litmus test for the truck route was having the rail down for 6 days and having that 421 route kind of rerouted naturally. So we were I kept my eye on just what it looked like and how it was, and it seemed to be pretty flawless, having the rail downtown and basically creating that truck route by natural replacement of a railroad track. So I didn't hear much.
And of course, that was a truck route during, construction
It's true.
of the Heartland. So, we're just going back to where, the way it was
Yeah,
during that,
got
so.
a family member who hauls, and it didn't really disrupt their.
Great.
Any other questions about projects? All right, I'll take that as a no. So we don't have anything else on the agenda specifically to bring to you guys, but if there are any other topics, comments, or questions that you wanted to discuss that we didn't cover, now is probably the time, so I'm happy to open up the floor to you all.
Yeah, we do have one project, and I don't know if you can pull up.
Would you be able to pull up Beacon or Google Earth?
We'll see if my computer explodes, but I will try.
And if not, I can real quickly grab mine, so it's up to you if you think mine should be.
Did you get community crossings money?
We did, yeah, we got money to reconstruct Adams Street.
We didn't.
Oh, I'm
this
sorry.
year, but that's okay.
Third
We
Street,
didn't get the
Third
full
Street
amount,
next
but-
year for you
It
guys.
said something about that there's reports the end reports are missing
Oh,
from the previous project.
That's Corey, isn't it?
Well, I don't know. I just need to find out what the final report's supposed to look like, because I thought I'd submitted everything that I had, so.
We may need your
Yeah,
laptop.
Jake.
My computer
Go to the
is
report.
at the end of its rope
Report
here.
also.
Yeah, I mean, it said that we might be missing,
Sorry,
and then we
laptop.
might owe them money back. Well, we did owe them 70-some thousand one year, but we paid that, and that's the only year, because that's when they gave us the money before with the project. Well, now they don't do that.
Right.
You turn in your bills, and then they send you the money. Well, the only year we owed them, I wrote a check for that, and they cashed it. So, I don't know, I'm gonna have to, I got the thing laying on my desk, and I'm gonna contact them and say, what report am I supposed to be?
Yeah, Marcy is really good at,
And I've got all my binders, so I can
yeah.
pull it out and do it. I just didn't know there was another report after the last one I sent.
So we have a property, I'll give a little background while you're getting a property owner who has purchased a triangle of land close to the interchange, close to the on-ramps, and trying to get access into that property for him with a property owner who has an entrance, a curb cut that is already there, but refuses to sell any of the land. And the city has a lift station there, which is adds to the fun. Yeah, you're getting closer. Across the way is a gas station, convenience store. So it's that triangle.
This is the parcel.
Yeah. Can you zoom in further? Yeah, so that's good. Oops. Well, that's okay. So you can see where the lift station is, and our access has been, to the south side. We're getting ready to do a wastewater treatment plant expansion. I mean, it's going to be a multi-year thing, but the lift station will be involved in that. Our footprint for it will not change, but we can certainly move the access. So if we could get a curb cut, to the north of that building, of the lift station across from the driveway into the gas station, you know, that would be an ideal spot for, you know, the property owner to have access then to do a strip mall or whatever, you know, he'd like to do on that property. And, you know, there's a utility pole that would need to get relocated, you know, nothing major. But who would we approach at NDOT to see if that's feasible?
Yeah.
Or how do we do that?
Yeah, so they do have access permits, and those go by district. So it will be someone at the district office. Now, so just generally, the way that this works is depending on if the road was set up as limited access right-of-way or not, that can change things.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you look to the south here, you'll see this is the entrance to the property originally, the curb cut that NDOT had placed when the Heartland was built.
Okay.
They did put a limited access covenants on his property because it's in a decel lane, if you notice, accessing the Heartland right there.
Got it.
So he's only got 10 foot, basically, as far as he can go, which is not going to be suitable for a commercial outlot of anything.
Of course.
So he's tried to reach an agreement with the adjacent landowner to maybe, you know, do 10 foot on his and 10 foot on his, and now you have a 20-foot entrance. I mean, kind of getting around it, but he's not having much luck with them to do that. And so that's why the basis of the conversation kind of moved to this area. That way we could get it directly across from the other property. So if traffic, I mean, it moves it far enough back on the decel that there's not competing interest in trying to, if you have a turn an arrow on, that you may be going onto your decel lane and somebody just pulls out thinking that you're merging when you're really trying to turn. So I think, yeah, having that discussion from the regional point and does that, to your point, I guess, is you're saying, what does that change for us if there's limited?
Yep. So there is a process if you need to do a new break in limited access right of way, but it becomes a lot more complicated. So it can potentially involve repayment of certain funds. So you're going to want to find original construction plans that lists all the access breaks that were put in place at the time it was constructed. So that would be helpful information to have. And then what, at least in our district, Crawfordsville district, NDOT has often done is they're kind of okay with moving access points. So if you can get a new one if you close an old one. So depending on if an access break was already granted, you know, they might be a little more favorable at basically just swapping, so to speak. So we have been able to do things like that.
Okay.
In the past.
Which is what you're copying, right?
Essentially,
You're
yeah.
closing
And then get rid of the covenants because of its decreased risk, because it's where it's at in the decel.
Because it'll be farther away.
Correct.
Yes. Yeah, in my opinion, that would, an experience that would probably be favorable. You know, it sounds like a good thing, right? So I would think the district would be amenable, but yeah, there should be someone who's like a district permits manager.
Okay.
Just approach it from the safety standpoint. I mean, we're swapping for safety to one, and then two, hopefully shedding that covenant so he can put a 20-foot commercial access. So I'm not going to tell on ourselves on this item, but this very thing happens on Commercial Drive on the other side of the intersection, that there's a 20-foot somehow. I mean, it's the same, almost the same location, adjacent intersection, and I had no problem. I mean, it's a little sketchy going through there.
That is really sketchy.
Because I'm pulling out of there and I see a right turn lane, turn
Yeah.
signal, and I think that they're
Pull
turning
it down
into True
slowly.
Value, and so I pull out and they're actually,
Oh,
They're actually going on the hard lane.
Yeah,
They're in
yeah.
that lane to, yeah.
Yeah, that's really, it's almost scary, frankly.
so, yeah. The RDC the redevelopment commission is expanding this section right here to a two-way instead of a one-way.
Oh, okay.
So you will have to defer, I mean, and I don't think they're charging anything because it's increasing the safety of that intersection, because you'll actually have a way to get into that commercial area without, or leave it without having to.
I never knew that road went around there.
Yeah.
Let's go that way to the license
Yeah.
branch.
But it's one way out, so you can't even go in there.
Oh, I can't go in to go to the license
Right.
branch, but I could come out of the license branch and go there.
Correct, so that is scheduled to be, when this gets put to 4 lanes this summer,
That becomes two-way,
that becomes a 2-way.
but not yet.
So don't try doing it yet.
Sorry, I digressed a ton, but
Mhm.
a little, but I just wanted to kind of show that
Okay.
and get perspective.
So do Beals use that cut to access their land,
I believe it's the only way to
to their fields?
their field right there.
Oh, yeah.
So it's Bridge Creek, and that
Right.
creek is not scalable. There's nothing getting across that.
Yeah.
I believe it is a navigable waterway.
So if that became, I mean, it would literally be accessed just for farm equipment. If we're able to get, get permission to, cut across from the driveway at the filling station. Yes.
But I think it would just be 10 foot on the top parcel, so you'd still have a 10-foot, technically, you'd still have entrance. The Beals would, because we would be swapping for Shines's property to lose 10 foot on the lower portion of the parcel, and then putting the 20 in. Mike would still have, I think it's Mike, the Beal family would still, Joe, would still have their 10-foot limited access. That makes sense.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that's the way to go. If you can kind of arrange it as a swap, so to speak, that tends to be much easier than creating a brand new break and limited access right away.
Okay, I think that answers that. We just need to find the right person at the board and begin the discussion.
Should we add, this is a whole different thing, doesn't have anything to do with anything except adding members, because I don't see us ever getting in order to have a quorum, I don't ever see us having a quorum. Pete's gone and he came most of the time, but that's still only 3 of us that come regularly.
Yeah.
I didn't know if like Flora should have 2 and Camden should have 2 and Delphi should have 2, and then that way
Yeah.
you've
Well,
at
we
least,
should, yeah.
you've at least maybe one of the 2 could come and you would end up, because I mean, this is the second meeting we've, or maybe more, that
It's
we've
more.
not had a quorum, and therefore, I don't know who set this up, I wasn't involved, so I didn't know if there's a way to get more. If we can't get the commissioners and the council to come, then I don't see us ever having a quorum.
Yeah, so we can't necessarily remove positions. So you have to leave some people on. It is possible we could add people. Now, in order to do that, we would need to take an official action. So that would mean we would need
And
a
then
quorum
we'd have to have
at
a
the
quorum.
meeting.
Well, maybe we could beg Josh and Bill to come to one meeting.
Josh probably won't be
Yeah.
coming. So.
Yeah, Josh is, yeah, he's overextended, and Bill, I'll add it to my list of things I need to talk to Bill about when I get a hold of him.
So can they
I'll bring
change
it
who represents the
Yes.
council on
Yes, they can.
this board?
Yeah.
And
If you don't think Josh
You
is
can
going
change
to,
who it is, or you can, they can also appoint a proxy.
Mhm.
So if
which is
there-
what I am.
You're right. So if there was
I'm a
someone,
proxy for the town council president.
Oh, okay,
yes.
okay.
So if there was someone that, this time works a little better for, then we could certainly do that. And the process for getting a proxy is basically just, again, it does need to be voted on, so we can get a quorum. But, basically just, someone can make a motion that this person is the proxy for whatever, so the city council or the commissioners,
So-
whatever appropriate thing, and then if it passes by vote, then they can take votes on other items at that meeting. So I think they can basically be instituted right away, is what I'm saying.
So Josh is by nature because of what reason?
So Delphi really already has two people on, right? The
We
mayor
do,
and the,
but Mike Isley represents the council, and
right.
I asked if he was able to, stay on, because he works in Warsaw quite a bit of the time. If the meetings were Monday, he can come, but it's Tuesday, and he's there Tuesday through Friday. So, and when we were virtual, that enabled him to come to some of the meetings, but now that we're not, it's more of a problem. So, I'll address this at our next council meeting and see if we are not meeting on Monday, we need to replace him. The problem is almost everyone else works, so getting someone to come 3 o'clock on a whatever afternoon is going to be a problem, but we'll try to get it solved.
Is it possible for us to have a special meeting at a different time, not our usual quarterly one? We could do a vote maybe
Yes.
to get some proxies.
I would advise that we do that, and then that way we can let them know that they just gotta show up this once to get the, organs.
Because it says the actual Josh's position is president of the county council, and he's not now. So whoever's president should be coming, right?
If that's what I was gonna ask.
That's what this
So if
says.
they've changed, if they've reorganized, then it should
Right.
be Scott, and I'll see Scott. I can send him a message, and then, matter of fact, you guys do the correspondence with the meetings, right?
Yes.
So I'll just leave here today with, give you Scott's email, the new county council president, and then if you don't mind, just corresponding with him, and then I'll just reinforce to him when I see him that you are now on the transportation committee.
Like, we're gonna show up.
By
Virtue of your
virtue of
position.
your position, and
Right.
if you'd like a proxy, you need to show up and vote that you have to have a proxy. So at least give me one meeting, and Scott's usually good about showing up, so.
Okay, so you have JT Dunn.
He just was here he's not a.
It says members present.
He was not a member, he was a guest.
Okay,
Yeah, that he would probably be under also present
Yeah.
technically.
All right,
okay, so he was just a guest.
yeah, he's not a voting member.
Yeah,
I was gonna
so-
say, otherwise you have 3 members on this
No.
board.
No, he should have been,
Okay, and Pete's
and
representing,
if we can ever address the minutes, we'll make that correction before we
Yeah.
adopt it.
not a big deal, I'm just trying to get a
Sure.
feeling for, we can't ever approve anything because there's only 2 people here to vote, and that's not enough. So I just think we need to look at how we could add a member or 2.
Well, but then you have a larger group and it's harder, you have even more of a problem getting a quorum.
Well, hopefully you would, well, yeah, because then you'd have to have more people here.
Yeah.
But we
So-
don't have anybody from Burlington serving on this. They're from Carroll County.
We reached out to them a while back. Do they have new town people?
Yeah, I think maybe what we might want to do, just as a general strategy, is I can go ahead and send out our list of who we have and what their positions are. It sounds like there's at least a couple that I have on our list that are outdated. So we can at least start by getting corrected information. And then what we also can do is look at adding people. So if we add people, we can make it so that we can have a quorum without having a majority. So that's kind of the traditional thing, right? This is currently a 7-member body, 7 voting members that we would need for a quorum. However, for our technical committee, that is a 12-member body, but they approved having 5 qualify as a quorum. So we could do like 4 out of 9, for example, but again, that would have to be at a meeting that
You'd
does
have to
have
have
a quorum.
Quorum to.
So we're back to that issue, which the solution for that may be like we were talking about earlier, where we have a special meeting at a different time, even if it was like 10 minutes.
Right.
Where we take a couple of these votes on some procedural items.
And we can set that up digitally too,
Yes.
if you want to do that remotely, if that's convenient.
Do we have, have we approved an electronic meeting out, now that we're out of COVID? And when
I guess I have the technical capabilities to do so, whether we're allowed to do so.
Yeah,
Remains to be seen, but
that's a question.
Yeah, so
Since
my,
the governor, you know,
yes.
we're no longer under those special guidelines, so I'm not sure that unless the body votes on an electronic meeting or ordinance or rules that we can.
Because that also requires a quorum.
I know. So, you know, we've got to catch 22.
So let's just pretend like that.
yeah, well, so we did look at this for Tippecanoe County, and what our legal representation advised is that it would be up to each different body as to how they want to handle that. So we have our equivalent of this committee, which we call our policy board, meets virtually, whereas our technical committee meets in person.
Okay.
And that has not raised any red flags, but we did have it as, you know, an item that was discussed, you know, at one of the public meetings where there was a quorum.
Okay.
And there was an opportunity for people to object to that. So I think what the process would be is at our next in-person meeting, we could have that as an agenda item.
Okay.
But again, that does run into the getting a quorum, but, you know, if we can find a way to get a quorum once and just knock all this stuff out.
I'll refer to it with Josh and Bill as just reorganization, and are you guys still interested and stuff like that?
Scott and Bill.
Yeah.
Scott and Bill.
Yeah, so,
Not Josh.
yeah, Josh would be by default off, correct? Because of,
Because he's no longer president.
Right.
so Scott and Bill will just,
Scott and Bill.
we'll address that with them, and I can't guarantee that we'll get
Of course.
response, but I think I communicate with them probably more than you guys do, so it would just be,
Yeah.
by nature, something I can bring up, and I'm sure that they, if anything, Bill, you know, if Bill doesn't want to attend anymore, not that he doesn't want to, but just would prefer to appoint a proxy, then he can show up and.
Appoint a proxy.
Yeah.
Because I think we can get Kent involved more too, if he's a proxy of the county,
Yes.
so, because obviously his knowledge of
It
the
would be
county highway.
good to have him, I think, at the administrative meetings. I know he's at the technical, but
But
we could certainly benefit from his
But we just can't go on forever not having a
discussions.
quorum and not ever
doing
being able to vote on anything.
Right. Especially if we're gonna have a plan that you're gonna present and we want to adopt and, yeah, so.
Okay, yeah, I will go ahead and handle sending around, you know, current roster and get these revisions, and then we'll go from there and see what we can do to solve some
So,
of these issues.
Would you
Yeah.
be open to, you know, a 10-minute meeting in the
Yeah.
evening?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we do evening meetings a lot, we're very familiar with those.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's fine, it's
Okay.
part of the job.
Yeah.
So we could actually poll the group to see when, you know, do a doodle poll or whatever, and as you've done before, just to see who could come when, and,
Yep.
yeah, try to get a quorum, so we can do some stuff just at a special meeting and then move forward.
Yep.
So if you're gonna be talking to Bill and to Scott, let's see kind of when would be a, you know, what's an ideal time for them in terms of evenings or, you know, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever, at what time, so we could kind of then poll the rest of the people and see if we can't get a group here.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like for those guys, even during the day, if it's on a council or commissioner day, we tend to get them to more meetings because you have drainage board and all those other kind of commitments, so.
Yeah, that could
Yeah,
work.
I'll ask them both what their preference, but I think on the communications for the special meeting is almost, your attendance is at least required for reorganization, and then I can reiterate that special meeting, we at least need everyone there so we can get voting done and proxies voted.
And then you were gonna talk to Mark Schock about replacing Pete.
Correct, yep.
Yeah, get Pete somebody, that would help. Pete always came. So if we could find another Pete, we would,
Yeah, so as soon as I see the dates for the special meeting, then I will have someone from Camden there, or at least ask them to be here so that they can either appoint because Pete was proxy, had to be proxy.
it says Camden Town Council representative.
Yeah.
So I think the Camden Town Council appointed him to be
Yes.
their
So that we would need
That's correct.
someone from their body here on the special meeting to at least be here once to vote for their proxy. Okay.
Yep.
Makes sense. Clear as mud.
Okay, are there any other items that you guys wanted to bring up for discussion?
Okay.
Okay, so then kind of the last thing that we had is just to mention our next two current planned meeting dates. So August 9th and November 8th. Those will be the last two of the regular quarterly meetings. And then obviously, you know, if we get a special meeting, that'll be when it is. So, I suppose we don't have to do a motion for adjournment since this is an official meeting.
Since we're not
No.
really,
We're
Can't
not
really
meeting,
do that,
we
so-
adjourn.
You can just all get up and leave.
Yeah, so unless there's anything else that we missed, just to do a final check. All right, we are
We are
officially
out
done
here.
then, so we'll go ahead and